Welcome back, Soulful Society, to Soulful of Wellness,
the multi-generational podcast brought to you by two functional imperfectionists
and certified coaches
who deliver tips to live your most authentic and balanced life.
Today, we are talking about sloths and how we can take a lesson or two from these beautiful, slow, chill creatures.
Today, we're diving into Sloth Philosophy. We'll discuss why we might want to take a page right out of the Sloth playbook to help us be more mindful, to feel less stressed, and to live with more ease.
Today, we're talking about one of the chillest animals out there, sloths. They're so funny.
Sloths get a little bit of a bad rap because to call somebody a sloth is a low-key insult. But I was thinking about it as we were getting our thoughts organized, and everybody also, on the flip side, kind of agrees that sloths are pretty darn cute.
They're so cute.
So it's maybe not the worst insult.
Wait, also, isn't it? I was thinking about America's Next Top Model and how one season they did the 7 deadly sins. It reminded me that sloth is a deadly sin, which we are here to change that narrative, flip it on its head, and give you a new perspective.
Well, maybe if you lived 100% of your life as a sloth, that would be a waste of your life.
You're
because
not a sloth.
Let's be honest, you're not an animal in the wild. So you don't get to do sloth all the time. But as with everything, there's a time and a place, and life's about achieving balance. So we're embracing sloth philosophy in today's episode, not to encourage a fully hedonistic lifestyle, but to help you be able to listen to and trust yourself, to know what you need when you need it, even when that means resisting outside pressures.
Love that. It's basically just checking in with yourself and making sure you're staying tuned and staying in alignment, making sure you're not really forcing anything, and we'll get more into that.
Absolutely. When you push too hard, that's when things break.
All right. So what is sloth philosophy? Well, embracing the way of the sloth requires an attitude adjustment because the mantra of the sloth philosophy is to slow down. The sloth philosophy believes that being unproductive every so often is essential for good mental health. So notice how we said every so often. So it's really about getting that balance so that you can feel like your best self. And you know how our devices need to be plugged in and charged? It's the same for your being, for yourself, your body, your soul, your mind. And you know what's funny, Kit? Actually, now that I'm thinking about this analogy, we rarely turn off our phones too, like fully turn it off.
Yes. And I decided about, a month ago or so that I was going to just randomly turn my phone off. Just turn, and not so I wouldn't use it more or any specific goal like that. I just had, it sounds so arbitrary now that I'm saying it out loud, but I thought I'm just going to sometimes just turn it off
down
for an hour or so. Give it a little rest, give myself a little rest, whatever. And I have done it, I think, twice, and it has been about a month. And I was thinking once a day or every at least few days, and I never do it. So not sure what that says. Maybe partly that I don't think of it. I need to write myself a note saying, have you turned your phone off today? But just kind of randomly shut it down because that does allow for the hard reset. Phones need it sometimes. Humans need it sometimes. We can all just use a little hard reboot from time to time.
Absolutely. So the sloth method can be broken down into the word slow. So we'll start with the S. So the S in slow stands for sleep in. The world has a bizarre obsession with policing the amount of sleep we all get.
Yes.
So true. We've talked about this before, Kit, how especially on like the East Coast in the US, there's this like badge of honor if you're super tired and working super hard.
Yes, and very underslept and overextended. So,
Mhm.
unlike most things in life where more is better, with sleep, we value getting by on way too little sleep. It is this bizarre badge of honor. This, oh my gosh, really? You only average 6 hours a night?
So
Oh, wow.
impressive.
I need at
Wow.
least seven, if not eight. Oh my gosh. I wish I could do that.
You must be
Imagine all I
better than
get done.
everyone.
Right. Why? It's so arbitrary. Why do we value not getting enough rest?
It's societal, 100% societal. So it's a pressure that's put on people.
Yeah, it's
Like
I don't know. It's got that little pendulum has got to swing a different direction soon
mhm.
because I think it has gone about as far to the extreme as it can go. It's already, I would say, without impacting people's health, but it's already impacting people's health.
Everyone's different. Everyone's style is different. And some people may be able to survive off of a few hours, and some people just maybe need more sleep. And what's so true is you can even trace it back to when you were a toddler or a little kid. Like these things don't change. Like some people just sleep more than others. It is
Hmm.
what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're the natural early risers.
Yes.
And people who are just not natural early risers. And you can't, I mean, you can change yourself short term, but it's your natural biorhythms. Your
Hmm.
body either wants to be a later sleeper or doesn't. Some people naturally wake up with the sun.
Okay, so what I love about this book is I'm going to read a couple quotes from the book on sleep.
Hmm.
So it says, stay up late and sleep in if you want to. And then it reads, German proverb. Towards the evening, the lazy person starts to get busy. This proverb illustrates how misunderstood and malaligned night owls can be in our society. Staying up late to accomplish things is just as valid as getting up early.
That resonates. Let me repeat that last sentence in case some of you went by a little too quickly and you need to hear it again. And I wouldn't mind hearing it again. Staying up late to accomplish things is just as valid as getting up early to accomplish those things. But it has been impressed upon us by society that somehow it's better to get up early to do those things. I love hearing that it's not better. So if you'd rather do your laundry at 9 p.m. than at 6 a.m., do the laundry at 9 p.m. It all gets clean either way.
Love it. All right, L for the sloth method, slow. Okay, the L stands for leave your phone at home. So we all know that too much screen time really impacts us negatively. And the book is saying because less phone time is good for us, but hard to do, practice leaving your phone at home when you run an errand or something like that, because we really are all way too plugged in. And so
We
it
are.
says experiment with this, see how it feels, leaving your phone for 15 minutes, for an hour, like whatever. Take a deep breath and enjoy not being 100% available and on call to the entire universe.
Yes. And interpret leave it at home as you will. Leave it in the pocket of your coat, can come with you because if you need it to find the maps and transportation, whatever. It doesn't have to be a literal leave at home. Or if you're at home, leave it upstairs or leave it in the other room. But we've talked about this in episodes before, how often you look at it without meaning to look at it. How often you just reach for it and grab it and super quick check something, but you're not even paying attention to what you're checking. And it's not even registering that you're doing it. And I notice if the phone is upstairs I'll be honest, usually because it's plugged in, not because it was this conscious health tool or strategy I was utilizing. But I'll go to reach for it several times and then go, oh, that's right, it's plugged in upstairs. But I don't go get it because it doesn't matter. What I was reaching for it for doesn't matter. It's not even worth going to get it. I just saved myself the time because I'm like, oh, never mind.
It's like an experiment with yourself because it's such a mindless habit that we all go and reach for it. And like the book says, sloths are mindfulness in action.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. So the O stands for opt out. So make the choice to opt out of the idea that you need to be busy or engaged and productive at all times. Like if you are not productive for the entire day, it was a quote unquote bad day. Like opt out of that idea and that choice. And secondly, just say no. Just say no. No, thank you to all the things that you don't necessarily want to do that are, an option.
Yeah, your self-worth is not dependent on maximizing every waking moment into productive work outcomes. No, it's not a thing. If you think it's a thing, it's been created in your brain and not just your brain, a lot of our brains. It is not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then practice saying, no, thank you. Because it can be really hard to say no to things that you tell yourself for various reasons. I should do that. I ought to do that. No, if you inside are going, oh no, please no. You don't have to say it that way, but you can say, no, thank you.
It's boundary setting. And I love that. Yeah. Just start with the little things. Start with the little things. Practice.
Practice helps. It really does. Even if you feel silly doing it, it helps. And later you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that actually worked. That wasn't nearly as bad to say as in my head it was going to be.
Exactly. So opt out. Opt out. And I love that, Kit. I mean, can't say that enough. Your productivity does not equal your self-worth. It's just not true.
Nope. Two separate things.
Not true. All right. The W stands for what's the rush? So the book offers that we repeat this phrase when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out.
I kind of love that as a wellness tool.
Yeah.
Because it helps you determine if there really is a need to, quote unquote, rush in that moment. And there are times in life where it does matter and you do need to hustle a little or you need to get on it or you can't push it off. But if you ask yourself, what's the rush? And if you answer with, well, I don't know, nothing, I guess, then great, you have that information and can adjust accordingly. And then sometimes you ask yourself, what's the rush? And your answer will be, well, the rush is I need to get to work on time. Okay, that's valid. Kick yourself into gear.
Right. Can I read you a excerpt from the book?
I would love that.
All right. So, if you're about to take a rejuvenating walk in the spring sunshine, but get a text message from your accountant asking about a missing file, which causes you to check your email where you see a note from a friend asking about your plans for visiting the countryside tomorrow, which you start to reply to, but at first you need to research that art gallery that you heard about so that you can include the link in your reply. But then it's an hour later and somehow you've bought 4 pairs of shoes from ASOS. Also, that reminds you before your trip you need to wash your sneakers, throw out the rotten fridge lettuce, and call the school. You need to rethink your priorities. Take a step back. Try and put any feelings of urgency into perspective. Remember our collective past when our grandparents sent paper letters to their friends and family via boats? Catching up with each other took weeks and they all survived. Take a breath. Vow to do it later or tomorrow, if at all. Will anyone or anything suffer if you take that walk first?
Beautiful. And a really important message and reminder that I think a lot of us can benefit from hearing.
I just felt so validated because that is so something I would do is like you go to the phone to answer the person and realize you got to research the thing and then you get sidetracked and then pretty soon you're doing 10 things at once.
None of them very well and probably making mistakes on several of them.
Oh, I can give a real life example.
Go on.
about this. So I've been trying to take bubble baths to like de-stress and just sort of like wash away the day and whatnot. And I was noticing that I would always grab something, whether it was like my speaker to listen to music, my computer to go on Pinterest, or like a book or anything to like what? Like accompany me and make me less bored during like a relaxing activity. And then when I realized I didn't even end up using any of that stuff, and I really could just sit there and chill. I was like, wow, I'm trying to multitask way too much during self-care.
Yes,
What's the point?
you were trying to maximize the productivity of that time slot. So you're like, oh, well, I can take a bath, which will be relaxing and a great self-care tool that works for me. Or I can do that while also fill in the blank and 2 for 1, double my productivity. No. Once again, that's where you don't do either one very well. It's okay to single task. That's another thing society has imposed upon us, this need to multitask. Multitasking is a very valuable trait or ability.
Mm-hmm.
And when people proudly say, oh, I'm an excellent multitasker, like, okay, are you really? I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. I used to say I was. Then I realized I wasn't. I was just very good at starting a lot of different things, not really focusing on any one, which led to a loss of productivity, really, because I had to go back and fix just
Mm-hmm.
little parts.
Yeah.
Most of it was right, but I wasn't happy with it. And then, of course, there's that embarrassing thing when you're doing so many things that you send the wrong link or you send it to the wrong person because in the texts you thought you were on one and you send it to the other. And then you have to send a text explaining how that was really meant for somebody else. And then you feel embarrassed. And just calm down, take a breath, slow it all down. I love the W of slow. What's the rush? If the answer is there is no real imminent rush, it was just me
Mm-hmm.
feeling overloaded with too many things to do, well, trust they're all going to get done.
Yeah. And the theme of this process is really like taking a second to check in or to slow down and take a pause before reacting or trying to do something else. And I think it's a really reflective process because, I look down and I'm like, oh, why are all these bruises on my leg
Yeah.
from bumping into tables? Because I'm looking down at my phone and also trying to pour water and like listen to a podcast, but I'm typing out a text, it's like all of that is becoming second nature. It's like just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because our brains can multitask doesn't mean it's good for us. And I think it's good to take a minute to reflect on how it's affecting us because in the moment, just because you're able to, right? Like send that email, listen to the podcast, do the thing, like observe how you're left, how your body and your mind is feeling. It's probably scattered.
Okay, you just made me think of true life example. Lately, I've been walking into my dogs more. Well, you should
Oh.
never walk into your dogs, but I've noticed that I'm going like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. And then I realize it's because I'm carrying something all the time. I'm almost never walking with my hands at my sides. Like once upon a time, and I think we as technology addicted humans are always holding something, the iPad, the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to always be holding something? I don't remember when that became such a part of my life because I was thinking back to my dog that I had 10 to 20 years ago. I never walked into him ever. I never, like, I was looking where I was going.
Like, why can't we just let it go, put it down? Because we're always with our phones.
Always.
Always.
Yeah.
Again, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
And
It's really addictive.
why do I need to carry it from room to room? I mean, I'm
Right.
getting
Same.
off the sofa to go get a kombucha out of the fridge and return to the sofa. Why does the
Why did I
iPad
bring my phone?
need to be in my hand?
Right.
And not that I'm even always looking at it, but why do I need to be looking at it? The whole exchange takes about 60 to 75 seconds. I think these are things we need to be spend some time reflecting
Yeah,
on.
I'm reflecting right now. I'm like, why?
Like, why am I always holding things? Like, that might be a little weird. Why do I
I feel
walk
like our
around holding
smartphones
things?
are so fast and everything, 5G, it loads so fast, and we can have anything in the palm of our hand that it's sending the opposite message of sloth philosophy of like, let's just slow down for a second. And I think we've just been sort of caught up in these habits and patterns.
Yeah, but it's fully become a habit. I'm not a surgeon on call. No one is going to need me. No one's life is going to change if I don't respond to them, not only for 1 minute, but like for 1 hour. It won't matter. Why is it my habit that I just scoop it up?
So it's something to think about. So, first step in anything, right? Your coach is going to tell you is awareness. So now that you're aware of these habits or patterns, then we can start to slow down, right? And adjust and change and practice. Okay, I'm going to practice leaving my phone here. I'm going to turn it off and so on and so forth.
Okay, step one, slow down. Slow down. Also, yeah, I don't need to walk at top speed. Slow down. Walk at a normal
Let's
rate.
do a challenge, Soulful Society. For the next week, how often can you catch yourself doing something slowly? And what can you reward yourself with at the end of the week for practicing being slower? Like, let's try and get the societal norm and praise about being productive. Let's challenge that for a week and see how slow we can be.
I really like that as a little experiment. I mentioned recently that I lately have been my own little social experiment. So I'm going to try doing some of the things that I usually go like, oh, this is a waste of time. I'm just going to run there. And I mean, literally run, not just say I'm going to run over there, like literally run. I'm going to do it at a normal walk and just see how it feels. Do I like it? Maybe I won't like it. Maybe I'll be like, no, that felt like a big waste of time. Fine. Oh, well, I can go back to running. But maybe I'll like it sometimes and be like, oh, felt decadent.
Oh, do you want to go over some concrete examples that you and our listeners can put into practice this next week?
Yes.
All right. So, first things first, let's talk about workouts. So, society has trained us in a way to feel like high intensity workouts are going to be the end all be all and sort of only workout that's really going to do it for you.
Yes.
What if instead you could do something a little bit slower, like yoga or Tai Chi or light stretching? See how your body reacts to that.
Right. And you can still do those other workouts. We're not saying like don't do it for a week. You can do those. Just pick one day out of the
Mm-hmm.
week where maybe you go to a foam roller class or something a
Ooh,
little bit
yeah.
out of your, or not even go to the class.
Restorative
You can
yoga.
do it if you have the Peloton app. They have those. Exactly. Like try a slower paced class that's out of your usual repertoire of what you do and see how it feels. Maybe you'll leave and be like, well, that felt like a waste of time. Okay, now you know. But maybe you like
Amazing.
it.
Okay, the next is your breath. We know that breathing is so crucial for stress reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Stress itself can make our breath short and shallow.
Yes.
It was like really validating to hear because I feel like I have really shallow breathing. So a breathing deeply reduces stress and lowers blood pressure. And a 2016 study at the Medical University at USC found that just 20 minutes of yoga breathing exercises resulted in lower salivary cytokines, which is a biomarker for stress-related inflammation. Wow. The proof is in the pudding.
All right. So I saw you had referenced this study and I had to know more because I was like,
So cool, right?
yoga breathing, is that like a code word for something? So what they did was 10 minutes of chanting and
Um,
10 minutes of rhythmic breathing. And rhythmic breathing is basically any kind of breathing that you regulate yourself. So we've talked about
okay.
four square breathing, in for four,
Mm-hmm.
hold for four, out for four, hold for four. They did a different, I didn't write down what they did, but it was like in for three, hold for 8, out for 6. It was just some other permutation, but basically you're counting and regulating the rate at which you're inhaling.
It's like intentional breathing.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, we love it. We love it. Okay, breathe, everybody, breathe. Let us know if you want us to do a full episode on breathing, because honestly, more than happy to.
Yeah.
So impactful.
I know. And of all the things that we know are good for us, but we don't want to do because they take a whole lot of effort and sometimes sweat and then, whatever, breathing, you're doing it anyway. You may as well take advantage of a few tools, like talk about low barriers to entry. We'd be happy to share with you some that we have found really effective.
Okay, eating. This is huge. So eating slowly is also really, really good for the digestive system. If you're experiencing any sort of bloat or pain or distension, I'm your girl for that. I know what it's like. Eating slowly definitely helps. And so the book references the slow food movement, which started in Italy in the 80s. It talks about eating local, fresh, prepared food with this is obviously to the extreme, but 6 courses for hours, hours with your loved ones, just taking your sweet time, enjoying every little bite, and just having a good time. But really what it means in a realistic sense is avoid the sad desk salad, take your lunch outside, or really just take a break. Don't eat while on the computer.
Right. If there's one thing that you do all day that's single task,
Make it eating.
Possibly should be eating. Yeah, just pay attention to the fact that you're putting the food in your mouth. Notice what it feels like. Notice what it tastes like. I can't tell you how often I just shovel food into my mouth and then I think,
Oh, same.
well, I'll chew while I walking around, because it's just like I only have a little bit of time. I need to get these things done and I've got to eat something because my next chance to eat something is hours from now. And it is not at all about the eating. And where that might be necessary every now and then, that should not be part of your daily life. If it is, that's where you need to make a change.
Absolutely. And to go along with that, the book also says to indulge and enjoy. Sloths slowly stuff themselves on so many leaves that more than a quarter of their body weight can be attributed to undigested food. Sloths are unconcerned with this post-meal bloat, however, because they're sloths and they're just doing what comes naturally. There's no one to tell them that they're overeating, that they should diversify their diet or go on a cleanse. The world is full of this kind of wellness advice that seems to be designed to make us feel out of control about our eating habits. So the sloth philosophy is about forgetting the numbers, the calories, the cleanses, even the newest superfood, and just asks that you trust yourself and your body.
Sounds like intuitive eating. Remember when intuitive eating was a big thing?
Yes, you can also check out our episode on that. I believe it's episode 3. And we've got several episodes with our favorite NTP, Carla Keith, who teaches you everything you need to know about intuitive eating.
Right. And not just about hunger levels, but about which foods your body likes and which foods your body doesn't like. Lots of good info in there.
So, lastly, practice deliberate solitude. Sloths prefer to be alone, and we can learn from that.
Yeah, we need a little quiet from other people, but also quiet from input. You don't always have to have a book playing or a podcast on. Sometimes you can just be alone with your thoughts and your feelings, and it just helps everything feel slowed down a little less stressful.
Definitely. I felt calmer just listening to you, Kit.
Oh, thank you. I still listen to recorded books because I love books. I used to listen to them in the morning while I got ready. And I don't know, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, I stopped turning anything on in the morning, not even music. And at first it was weird and eerily quiet. But now I really like it because it lets my thoughts kind of settle into the right place for the day. And I can remember where I'm going and what I'm doing and what needs to get done without the distractions of outside input from any auditory source.
Oh, awesome. We love it. Allows you to focus more on the moment.
Yes, I feel more organized.
We hope you learned a little bit more about the sloth philosophy, and we want to leave you with this. Reclaim the word lazy. Sloths aren't lazy, they're efficient. They conserve energy by moving at a leisurely pace, digesting food slowly, and spending most of their time sleeping. So, we invite you to take a page from the Sloths book and slow down this week.
If you enjoyed today's episode and know someone who would benefit from hearing the message of the sloth, please share this episode with that person. And please rate, review, and subscribe to Soulful of Wellness if you haven't done so already. Thank you for joining us again this week. Peace, love, and light.
Peace, love, and light.
The Soulful of Wellness hosts are certified health and wellness coaches. This podcast is intended to inform and entertain listeners on their wellness journey. This podcast is meant to enhance, not replace, listeners' care from doctors, therapists, or other medical providers.